Hello and welcome back to the Machine Shed. It's been a really long time since I've posted anything because the block has been in the machine shop for about 3 weeks. They were really busy, but we did finally get our motor back yesterday. So it's time to build on it, and we've got all the parts basically that we need to get it assembled. So we're gonna go ahead and throw our main bearings in. We've got some plastic gauge here. We did do all the mathematicals, but the plastic gauge, these are really cool. It's just wax essentially, and we're gonna put in between the main caps and the crankshaft itself, torque them down, pull them off, and then we'll actually be able to see what our actual oil clearance is on our main bearings. And there's a scale on the side of this that we're gonna compare. I'll give you guys a close-up shot of that when we do it, but without further ado, let's get after it. All right, so we've got our lower shells in and our crank in. If you can see here on each journal, we've got a little strip of plastic gauge. And we'll bring our main caps, put our main caps down and torque them to spec and see what our actual oil clearance is. Hopefully everything checks out perfectly, it should, but that'll also give us an indication of what oil is going to be best for us as well. If they're a little bit loose, we'll go with a higher viscosity. If they're a little tight, we'll keep the viscosity down. All right, guys, so we got our main caps installed, torqued.
and then pulled off. And now we can see our plastic gauge here. Let's make sure we're on the standard side here, because this is America. Let's try and get a close-up. So we can see that it's just slightly smaller there and matches up perfectly with our 15 thousandths, which I believe is close to factory spec, usually in there. I actually kind of would have liked to see around 17, but that's okay, and we're fairly uniform across the board here. As you can see there, and yes, the galleys still have some stuff left in it. I actually have to take the crank and wash it before we do our final install. But again, it's right. Let's see if we can get this down there. I guess it's kind of hard to see, but 15 thou is right where she's sitting, just about matches perfectly. So everything's good to go, and we kind of already knew that because we did the math and stuff. But you know, it's always nice to know that you have a second level, you know, of assurance. So that said, we're actually going to pull the crank out. We're going to wash all the oil galleys out, blow everything out, and we're going to install it. Here we go. All right, so we got our crank in. Now we got to start working on our pistons and rods. Our crank turned out really, really nice. It's super buttery, super smooth. But we did have one kind of issue, I guess, with the thrust bearing. I always use these Moly Cleveite bearings on pretty much everything I've ever built. I really like them. And my machinist suggests them as well, you know. But if you look here, made in Mexico. I don't know if that makes a difference, but on the thrust bearing, I did find a small imperfection that I had to grab a small piece of 1000 grit here and just touch it up, just because there was enough to catch a finger on it. So hopefully that doesn't create a problem. If the thrust gets grenaded, then we'll know it was, but I think it'll be fine. I cleaned it up. It was just sort of a burr. But yeah, everything went smooth. Everything turns over really, really nicely. We are going to get our 4th gen rods and pistons. This is what we got for this. and these are actually 20 over. I bought them used off of Evil Bay, and yeah, they're the dimpled rods. So we're gonna get going on these, pull some piston rings off. We'll gap the rings out and throw them back together and get them in there. Here we go. All right, guys, so we've got all of our pistons and our piston rings all set. We did 28 thousandths on our top rings and 30 thousandths on our bottom, and that was a spec I kind of just stole from Richard Holdner's videos on the Big Bang, because we're going to start at, like, 14 pounds of boost, and we'll probably work our way all the way up to all the boost. So why not be prepared for it? We're here, and let's get it done. But we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 there, 1, 3, 5, 7 here. So right now I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup, clean everything up, blow everything out with air one last time. We'll flip it over and start installing our pistons and rods. And like I said, we're going to plastic gauge one on each side of the motor, because we've got 3 of our rod journals that are identical, and we've got one that's just slightly larger. So we want to check and see that that one that's slightly larger isn't too tight in comparison to the other ones. We might have to polish it down just a hair. we got her assembled. We've got a rotating assembly in. Everything went really, really smooth actually. We've got all the ring gap that we need. Bearings, everything fit perfectly. I actually did plastic gauge one of the front journals, and we got a 15 thousandths oil clearance there. So I actually didn't even plastic gauge that fourth journal because it was only 1/10,000th out. So we'll be good with that. We're probably going to run a 1030 in this motor just because, you know, 15 thousandths, kind of a small gap for a performance engine in my opinion. But I'm learning as I go because this is the first LS I ever built. That's why, you know, I have that book on hand. It's got all the answers in it every time I have a question, torque specs, stuff like that. But yeah, learning and growing. Everything just went honestly really easily. The only thing that I didn't like about a lot of the stuff on the LS is the torque angle specs. I don't enjoy those because I feel like I can't have 100% consistency, and it's so much easier for me to do all my torque specs and then double check every bolt if I want to by going over it with a specific torque reading. I know that there's tools out there for that. I just don't have them on hand. I really just have a cheap torque angle gauge, but it worked, and everything seems good to go. I'm actually going to cut the video off here because it's going to get too long on me. But in the next video, we are going to take these heads, these 706 heads. We're going to put valves in them, lap them. We've got multiple broken exhaust manifold studs to take out, which is extremely common with these. And yeah, then we're going to throw a cam in it, lifters, the whole valve train, and we're going to get this in the car because today, it was actually just announced today that my local track is going to be opening up in 18 days. So we are going to smash this out because we want to be out there for opening day. But if we can't, we want to be out there the weekend after. So we got about 18 days, give or take, to get this thing up and running. And the cool part is we have everything. After I get my cylinder heads done, I'll show you guys everything that I got. I'll give you a couple of hints though. It involves a Terminator X, a turbo, all kinds of other fun stuff too that are going to go into this. It's really, a lot of it's taken from sloppy mechanics, of course, but you know, it's sort of tried and true. And but yeah, we also have to decap our injectors. We're going to run decaps. Hopefully they'll all flow similarly, but if not, then we're going to have to get some other injectors, maybe clean the injectors that I got. We're going to kind of just play it as we go. I am also still waiting on one big thing, and that is the pickup windage tray, oil pan, and dipstick. They're on the way. They're in the mail. I actually just got a message today that they're shipped. So those should be here in time. That shouldn't be an issue. We have all our gaskets, everything like that. We can actually leave that for last if we have to. We can get heads on this thing and cam in this thing and timing gears in this thing. There's also, you know, more work that needs to be done on little stuff like this. If you can see, look at that oil pump. That's a big yikes right there. But we'll make her look brand new. We're going to take this apart, and of course we'll make sure that the insides aren't all galled up, and if they are, we'll replace it, but I doubt it. This thing's going to be probably good to go. The timing set, we're going to replace that, but otherwise we've got everything we need to make the old C4 go fast instead of slow again. So until next time, I appreciate you guys watching. Damn compressor will give a guy a heart attack. Wow. But yeah, thanks for watching. Keep watching. If you guys like it, leave a comment for me.
You guys that have been commenting, I absolutely love that. It gives me more motivation to get this thing done. And you know, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. New to the whole LS thing, but this thing's gonna either haul or fall. So till next time, have a great night.